Jake Morrison walked into the white meeting room on Station Harmony. The walls were so clean they almost hurt his eyes. He had been traveling for 3 weeks to get here. Earth's best diplomat, they called him. Today he would make peace with the aliens who had been attacking human worlds for 3 years. The room was huge. In the center sat a round table made of some strange metal that seemed to glow. Around it sat creatures Jake had only seen in videos before. There was Zexthul, the leader of talks. It looked like a walking crystal, tall as 2 men, with light dancing inside its clear body. Next to it sat Veltar, who looked like a giant bug with 6 arms. Its black eyes never blinked. Jake sat down across from them. Lisa Brooks, his assistant, sat beside him. She was young but smart. Jake trusted her to catch things he might miss. "Welcome, human," Zexthul said. Its voice sounded like music, but cold music. "We are here to end this war. That's what we want too," Jake said. He kept his voice calm and friendly. More aliens sat around the table. There was a snake-like creature with scales that changed color. A big furry thing that looked angry. Others that Jake could not even describe. All of them stared at him like he was some strange animal in a zoo. "These are our terms," Zexthul said. It waved one crystal hand and a blue screen appeared in the air above the table. Words began to appear on the screen. Jake read the first line and felt his heart sink. Lisa made a small sound next to him, like someone had hit her. The aliens wanted humans to give up 60% of their worlds. Not just empty planets, but worlds where millions of people lived. Worlds they had spent 50 years building into homes. Jake kept reading. It got worse. They wanted Earth to destroy most of its spaceships. Only small patrol boats would be allowed. The big warships that had kept Earth safe would have to be blown up, but the worst part came next. Earth would have to let the Alien Council control its government. Every law, every decision would need alien approval first. Humans would become pets, and they wanted money. So much money that Earth would be paying for the next 50 years. Money for a war that the aliens had started. "This is a joke, right?" Jake said. He looked around the table, hoping to see someone smile. No one did. "These terms are fair," Veltar said. Its bug voice clicked and buzzed. "Your people are young. You do not know how to behave in space. We will teach you." "Behave?" Lisa said. She sounded angry. "We were defending ourselves. You attacked us first." The snake creature made a hissing sound that might have been laughter. "You fought back when your betters tried to discipline you. That shows you are not ready to be free." Jake felt heat rising in his chest. 3 years ago, the Kefir Empire had attacked human colonies without warning. They said humans were too dangerous to be left alone. They burned cities and killed families. Earth had fought back because they had no choice. Now these aliens, who called themselves the Galactic Council, wanted to punish humans for not dying. "Quietly, let me understand this," Jake said slowly. "The Kefir attacked our worlds. We defended ourselves. We won some battles. And now you want us to surrender everything because we fought back? You are a young species," Zexthul said. The crystal beam's light turned orange, which Jake had learned meant impatience. Young species must learn to follow the old ones. This is how peace works in the galaxy. Captain Ryan Hayes had been quiet until now. He was a military man, not a diplomat. Earth had sent him to make sure Jake understood what the military could and could not do. Now he stood up slowly. "Young species?" Ryan asked. His voice was very quiet. "We've been fighting your pet empire for 3 years. We've won more battles. Then we've lost. We've built ships you said we couldn't build. We've used weapons you said we couldn't make. And you call us young?" The furry alien made a growling sound. "Luck, nothing but luck and fear." "Fear?" Ryan's voice got even quieter. "You want to see fear?" Jake put a hand on Ryan's arm. The captain sat down, but his eyes never left the aliens. "Ambassador Jake," Lisa whispered. They're not negotiating. They're demanding surrender. Jake looked at the terms again. Everything Earth had built, everything Earth had fought for, all of it would be given away. Humans would become slaves with fancy names. We need time to consider this, Jake said. There is nothing to consider, Zexthel replied. These terms are final. Accept them or face complete destruction. Jake closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his daughter back on Earth. She was 8 years old. Under these terms, she would grow up in a world controlled by aliens who thought humans were too stupid to make their own choices. He thought about the colonies. New Texas, where his brother lived. Paradise Bay, where humans grew food that fed. Billions, all of it would be taken away. He thought about the soldiers who had died defending human worlds. They had died believing they were protecting freedom. These terms would make their deaths meaningless. Jake opened his eyes and looked directly at Zexthel. Lisa, please start recording for transmission to Earth, he said. The room went quiet. Every alien stared at him. The United Earth Federation rejects these terms completely, Jake said. His voice was steady and clear. We also withdraw from all peace talks immediately. The room exploded with noise. Aliens clicked, buzzed, hissed, and roared. Zexthel's crystal body flashed bright red. You cannot refuse. It shouted. No species has ever walked away from council arbitration. Jake stood up. Ryan and Lisa stood with him. Watch us, Ryan said simply. Jake straightened his uniform jacket. When you're ready to treat us with respect, you know where to find us. Until then, we'll handle our own problems. You will all die, Veltar screeched. Without our protection, the Kefir will destroy every human world. Maybe, Jake said. But we'll die as free people, not as your pets. He turned and walked toward the door. Lisa and Ryan followed. Behind them, the aliens kept shouting threats and demands. Jake did not look back. Outside the meeting room, Lisa was shaking. Jake, what did we just do? We chose freedom over slavery, Jake replied. Now we have to hope Earth can back up that choice. Ryan smiled for the first time in days. Earth's been preparing for this possibility. The aliens think they know us. They're about to learn they're wrong. As their shuttle flew away from Station Harmony, Jake looked back at the space station where diplomacy had died. The aliens thought humans would come crawling back, begging for mercy. They had no idea what they had just unleashed. 3 weeks had passed since the humans walked out of the peace talks. The great meeting hall on Nexus Prime was packed with aliens from across the galaxy. The Galactic Council was holding an emergency meeting, something that had not happened in 200 years. The hall was enormous. It could hold 10,000 beings. Today, every seat was filled. Representatives from 200 different species had come to discuss the human problem. Zexthel stood at the center podium. The crystal being was still angry. Its body flashed red and orange as it spoke to the crowd. Fellow council members, Zexthel said, the humans have ignored all our messages. They refuse to answer our calls. They act like children hiding from their parents. A wave of angry sounds filled the hall. Clicks, buzzes, roars, and hisses from hundreds of different species. All of them were upset that a young species had dared to reject the council's wisdom. Vexmore stood up in his section. The bear-like alien was twice the size of a human and covered in thick brown fur. His people, the Ursine Collective, were known for their strength and bad temper. Maybe we were too nice, Dexmore growled. Young species must learn respect through pain. We should have demanded more. Many aliens agreed with him. They made approving sounds and waved their arms, tentacles, or claws. In the military section, Admiral Kefter rose to speak. He was the leader of the Kefir Empire, the ones who had been fighting humans for 3 years. He looked like a giant lizard walking on 2 legs. His teeth were sharp and his eyes were cold. The humans are trapped now, Kefter said. His voice was smooth and confident. Without Council protection, my fleets will crush them easily. Give me 1 month and there will be no more human problem. The crowd liked this idea. They cheered and stamped their feet. Some species shot light into the air in celebration. But not everyone was happy. In the science section, Dr. Nixara raised one of her purple tentacles. She was small compared to most aliens, about the size of a human child. Her people were the galaxy's best scientists and thinkers. Honored council members, she said in her quiet voice. I have studied human behavior for many years. I think we may have made a mistake. The crowd went quiet. Zexthal's crystal body turned a darker red. What mistake? Zexthal demanded. Humans become more dangerous when they are cornered, Dr. Nixara explained. Their history shows this pattern many times. When they have no way out, they fight harder than any species we know. Nonsense, Viltar buzzed. The insect being waved all 6 of its arms. They are primitives with simple weapons. How dangerous can they be? They have held off the Kefver Empire for 3 years, Dr. Nixara pointed out. The same empire that conquered half this galaxy, Admiral Kefter laughed. It was an ugly sound. Lucky hits and desperate tricks, nothing more. When I bring my full fleet against them, they will break like glass. Dr. Nixara tried to speak again, but Zexthal cut her off. Enough, the crystal being said. No species can survive without the Council's guidance. The humans will come back begging for our original terms within 1 month. Who agrees? Almost every alien in the hall raised their hand, tentacle, claw, or whatever they used to vote. Only 3 species did not vote yes. Dr. Nixara's people were one of them. It is decided, Zexthal announced. We will wait for the humans to surrender. Admiral Kefter, you may continue your military operations. The meeting ended with the aliens feeling very pleased with themselves. They went back to their ships and worlds, certain that the humans would soon learn their place. But far from Nexus Prime, other events were happening. Deep under the city of Geneva on Earth, General Patricia Cole was meeting with Earth's leaders. The war room was filled with screens showing space battles, ship movements, and intercepted alien messages. They think we're going to give up, General Cole told the people around the table. Admiral Kefter is gathering his entire fleet for what he calls the final attack. President Helen Carter leaned forward in her chair. She was a small woman, but her voice was strong. How long before our new shipyards are ready? The Luna Yards will be finished in 6 weeks, replied Defense Minister Carl Thompson. The asteroid belt facilities are ahead of schedule. Soon we will be able to build 3 times as many ships as before. General Cole smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. The Council made one big mistake. They thought we needed their permission to win this war. What about our secret projects? Asked Dr. Amy Foster, Earth's top scientist. How are they coming along? Better than expected, General Cole replied. The quantum communication system is working perfectly. Our new weapons are beyond anything the aliens have seen. And the shield technology is ready for testing. President Carter nodded. The aliens gave us 3 years to prepare. They attacked us expecting an easy victory. Instead, they gave us time to become something they never imagined. There's more, General Cole said. She pressed a button and a new screen appeared. It showed a map of the galaxy with hundreds of red dots. These are all the species the Council has bullied over the years. Species forced to surrender like they wanted us to surrender. Are any of them willing to help us? President Carter asked. 12 species have already sent secret messages, General Cole replied. They want to know if we're really going to fight the Council. If we win, they want to join us. Dr. Foster looked excited. Some of them have technologies we could use. And they know Council weaknesses. It gets better, General Cole continued. Our spies report that many council species are not happy with their leaders. They're tired of being told what to do by the old species. President Carter stood up and looked at the galaxy map. So we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every species that wants to be free. That's right, General Cole said. The council thought walking away from their talks was a sign of weakness. They have no idea it was a declaration of war. Meanwhile, back on Nexus Prime, Dr. Nixara was in her private laboratory. She was studying human historical records, trying to understand what the council had just done. The more she read, the more worried she became. Humans had a saying, never corner a wild animal. Another saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The humans had been cornered. They had been made stronger by 3 years of war. And now the council had insulted them and walked away. Dr. Nixara realized with growing horror that the council had not won a victory today. They had created their own worst enemy. She tried to call Zekthul to warn the council leader, but her message was ignored. The crystal being was too busy celebrating to listen to warnings. On Earth, the preparations continued. New ships rolled out of hidden factories. New weapons were tested in secret. New alliances were formed with species the council had forgotten. Galaxy was about to change forever, but the Galactic Council did not know it yet. They would learn soon enough. 6 months had passed since Jake Morrison walked out of the peace talks. The galaxy had changed in ways no one expected. Admiral Susan Clark stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UES Defiance. Around her, 30 human ships moved through. Space like hunting wolves. We're coming out of hyperspace now, reported Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez. He was young but had already seen more battles than most veterans. Kepler system dead ahead. Susan looked at the main screen as stars appeared around them. Kepler 7 was a mining world where 50,000 humans lived and worked. It was also under attack. I count 12 Kethver heavy cruisers, Ben said. They're bombing the mining stations. Susan felt anger burn in her chest. For 3 years, the Kethver had been attacking human worlds. They killed families and destroyed homes. Now they thought they could finish the job while the humans had no council protection. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Signal all ships, Susan ordered. Formation Delta. Let's show these lizards what humans do to bullies. The hunter fleet spread out in perfect order. Every captain knew exactly what to do. They had trained for this moment for months. The Kethver fleet turned to face them. Admiral Zekthul, the reptilian commander, opened a communication channel. His lizard face filled Susan's screen. Human fools, he hissed. You have no council protection now. Surrender and I might let some of you live as slaves, Susan smiled. It was not a nice smile. I have a better idea. Why don't you surrender too? Yuza Zekthul laughed, showing his sharp teeth. 30 ships against 12? You might have numbers, but we have superior technology and centuries of experience. Technology? Susan asked. Let me show you something interesting. She nodded to Ben, who pressed a single button. The Defiance fired one shot. It was not like the energy beams or missiles that ships normally used. This weapon looked like a crack in space itself, a line of absolute darkness that reached across. The void. The crack touched the lead Kethver cruiser, and the ship simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, not blown apart. It was there 1 second and gone the next, as if it had never been built. The other Kethver ships stopped moving. Even across space, Susan could feel their shock and fear. What was that? Zekthul whispered. That was a quantum disruptor, Susan explained calmly. It breaks the bonds that hold atoms together. Your ship is now a cloud of particles so small. We cannot see them. Impossible, Zekthul said. No species has that technology. Humans do, Ben said with pride. The battle that followed was not really a battle, it was a demonstration. The human ships moved like they were dancing, each one knowing exactly where the others would be. Their weapons reached across impossible distances and hit with perfect accuracy. The HFY ships fired back with everything they had. Their energy beams and missiles had destroyed human cities before. Now they could not even scratch the human ship's shields. "How are you doing this?" Zekthul demanded as his ships died around him. 3 years ago, you attacked us because you said we were too dangerous," Susan replied. "You were right. But you made us even more dangerous by giving us a reason to improve." Another HFY ship vanished under quantum fire. Then another. "Your shields," Zekthul said with growing panic. "They're impossible. Phase shift barriers," Ben explained helpfully. "The energy passes through a different dimension. Your weapons can't touch us." "And your coordination," another HFY captain broke in. "You move like a single organism." "Quantum entanglement communication," Susan said. "Every human ship is connected to every other human ship instantly, no matter how far apart we are. We share thoughts faster than light can travel." In 20 minutes, it was over. 11 HFY ships were gone. Only Zekthul's flagship remained, and it was disabled and drifting. Susan opened a channel to the surviving HFY escape pods. "This is Admiral Susan Clark of the United Earth Federation. You will carry a message back to your empire." "What message?" Zekthul asked. His proud voice was now small and afraid. "Humanity is no longer asking for peace," Susan said. "We're taking it. Any HFY ship that attacks a human world will be destroyed. Any HFY leader who orders such attacks will be hunted down. Your empire has a choice. Leave us alone, or we will end you." Similar scenes happened across 12 star systems in the following weeks. The mighty HFY empire, which had been growing for 300 years, suddenly found itself running away from the humans they had once considered weak. But the most shocking part was not the human victories. It was how completely one-sided they were. Human ships barely took damage. Human casualties were almost zero. The species that had been considered primitive was now fighting like gods of war. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council was meeting in emergency session again. This time, no one was celebrating. "The reports cannot be accurate," Zekthul said. The crystal being's light was now a worried yellow. "No species advances this quickly." Dr. Nixara stood up with a data pad in her tentacles. "I have analyzed the battle recordings. The human ships are using at least 15 technologies that our best scientists said were impossible." "Then how do they have them?" demanded Veltar. "Because humans don't accept impossible," Dr. Nixara replied. "When we told them something couldn't be done, they found a way to do it anyway." Admiral Kefter, the HFY military leader, was no longer confident. His reptilian face showed fear. "My fleets are in full retreat. The humans aren't just defending anymore. They're hunting us." "Hunting?" Vexmore growled. "What do you mean hunting?" "They seek out our ships and destroy them," Kefter explained. "They have turned from prey into predators. And they are better predators than we ever were." The hall fell silent. 200 species, the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, sat quietly while they tried to understand what had happened. "They were supposed to surrender," Zekthul said weakly. "They were supposed to beg for mercy," Veltar added. "They were supposed to prove they were inferior." Vexmore finished. Dr. Nixara looked around at all of them. "Instead, we proved that we were fools. We gave them 3 years to prepare for war. We insulted them and walked away. And now they have become something none of us expected." "What have they become?" Zekthul asked. Dr. Nixara's voice was very quiet when she answered. "The strongest military force this galaxy has ever seen. And they're very, very angry with us." On Earth, President Helen Carter was reading the battle reports with satisfaction. The plan was working better than anyone had hoped. "How many more ships do we have ready?" she asked General Cole. 500 new vessels will be completed this month, the general replied. The asteroid belt yards are producing one ship every 6 hours now. And our new allies? 18 species have joined us secretly. They're sharing technology and intelligence. Some are even building ships using our designs. President Carter smiled. The council thought we would crawl back to them, begging for mercy. Instead, we're showing the galaxy that there's an alternative to council rule, General Cole said. Freedom backed by strength. What's our next target? The president asked. Admiral Clark wants to liberate the prison worlds where the council keeps species that refuse to surrender, General Cole replied. Show the galaxy that humans keep their promises. President Carter nodded. Do it. Let everyone know that the age of council tyranny is ending. In space, Admiral Susan Clark received her new orders and smiled. The hunt was just beginning. The emergency alarm was screaming through the halls of Nexus Prime. Council members ran in panic as their most secure sensors detected something that should have been impossible. Human warships were approaching the capital world of the galaxy. In the great meeting hall, Zexthul's crystal body was flashing bright red with fear and anger. This cannot be happening, the council leader said. Nexus Prime has the strongest defenses in known space. The massive display screen showed 27 human ships in perfect formation. They had appeared out of hyperspace like ghosts, moving toward the planet with calm purpose. At their head flew the UES Retribution, the personal flagship of Admiral Kevin Wright. Incoming message, announced a nervous Velinary communications officer. The snake-like being was coiled so tightly with fear that it looked like a spring. Admiral Wright's face appeared on the screen. He was an older human with gray hair and cold eyes. He had been fighting aliens for longer than anyone else in the human fleet. Galactic Council, Wright said in a voice like winter ice. I am Admiral Kevin Wright of the United Earth Federation. I have come to deliver a message. You dare bring weapons to our sacred capital, Veltar screeched. All 6 of the insect being's arms waved in rage. Wright looked at Veltar like he was looking at something unpleasant on his shoe. I brought these ships to make sure you listen to what I have to say. This is an act of war, Vexmore roared. The bear-like alien was standing on his hind legs, making himself look even more dangerous. War? Wright asked. His voice stayed calm and cold. No, this is a conversation. If this was war, you would already be dead. The defense grid around Nexus Prime began to power up. Hundreds of massive weapons platforms turned toward the human fleet. Energy readings climbed toward dangerous levels. I would not do that if I were you, Wright said calmly. You are outnumbered. 1,000 to 1, Zexthul declared. Our defenses can destroy entire fleets. Wright nodded to someone off screen. Captain Davis, please show them what happens to weapons pointed at human ships. The escort ship UES moved forward slightly. Captain Angela Davis, Wright's second in command, fired a single beam at a large asteroid floating in the outer system. The mountain-sized rock was there one moment and gone the next. Not destroyed, not broken apart, but completely erased from existence. The charging sequence of the defense grid stopped immediately. No one wanted to test whether their weapons would work better than the asteroid. Smart choice, Wright said. Now, as I was saying, I have a message to deliver. The council chamber was completely quiet. Even the species that usually made noise when they breathed were holding their breath. 3 months ago, your council offered my people terms of surrender, Wright continued. You wanted us to give up our worlds, destroy our ships, and become your slaves. You thought we were weak and stupid. You are a young species, Zexthul said, but its voice was no longer confident. Young species need guidance. Guidance? Wright's cold smile was not pleasant to see. Let me tell you what your guidance accomplished. The Kethver Empire has surrendered to us completely. Their former territory is now under human protection. We have also received surrender offers from 6 other species in this sector. The council chamber erupted in shocked sounds. Roars, clicks, hisses, and electronic squeals filled the air. It took several minutes for the noise to die down. Impossible, Admiral Kefter said from his seat. The reptilian leader looked like he had aged 10 years in the past month. My empire conquered half the galaxy. Your empire conquered species that had no choice but to surrender, Wright corrected. When you met a species that chose to fight back, you discovered the difference between ruling slaves and facing warriors. The Keffer were our strongest military force, Dr. Nixara said quietly. If they have fallen to humans, then maybe it's time to admit that your old ways don't work anymore, Wright finished. The galaxy is changing, whether you like it or not. Zexthel tried to regain control of the situation. What do you want from us, human? Wright's expression became even colder. I am not asking for anything. I am telling you what is going to happen. The Galactic Council will formally apologize for trying to enslave a free people. You will pay compensation for every human world damaged in this war. And most importantly, you will establish new rules for how advanced species treat new ones. And if we refuse, Veltar demanded. Wright's smile became truly frightening. Then you will learn what happens when humans stop playing defense and start playing offense. But I should mention something important. We are not asking for these terms. We are informing you that this is how things will be. You cannot dictate terms to the entire galaxy, Vexmore growled. Cannot? Wright asked. Watch the news reports from the Rigel sector. 3 council fleets tried to stop human ships from liberating prison worlds. All 3 fleets are gone. The prisoners are free and under human protection. Dr. Nixara checked her datapad quickly. Her tentacles turned pale as she read the reports. It's true, she whispered. 3 fleets, gone, no survivors. The chamber fell silent again. The reality of the situation was finally sinking in. The humans were not making threats they could not back up. They had already proven their power across dozens of star systems. You have 72 hours to consider our terms, Wright said. After that, we will assume you have chosen the hard way. What is the hard way? Zexthel asked fearfully. Wright's cold eyes seemed to look right through the crystal being. The hard way is what happened to every other species that thought humans were too weak to fight back. The hard way is what happened to the Kethver Empire. The hard way is what will happen to anyone who thinks they can bully free people. The transmission ended, leaving the council in stunned silence. Dr. Nixara was the first to speak. We created this situation ourselves, she said sadly. We had a chance to treat them with respect. Instead, we tried to make them slaves. They were supposed to be grateful for our guidance, Veltar said weakly. They were supposed to know their place, Vexmore added. They were supposed to be inferior, Zexthel finished. Dr. Nixara looked around at the greatest powers in the galaxy. All of them now afraid of a species they had dismissed as primitives just 1 year ago. They were never inferior, she said. We were just too proud to see it, and now they have become something we cannot fight. Outside in space, the human fleet waited patiently. Admiral Wright stood on his bridge, looking down at the planet where the galaxy's rulers were learning what it meant to face consequences for the first time in their long lives. Admiral, Captain Davis called from her ship. We're receiving surrender requests from 12 more species. They want to join the human alliance. Wright nodded. Accept them all. The more species that choose freedom, the fewer will have to. Free by force. And if the council refuses our terms? Wright's cold smile returned. Then we'll show them what human warfare looks like when we're not holding back. The galaxy's about to have new leadership, whether the council likes it or not. The age of human dominance had begun not with conquest, but with the simple act of walking away from an insult. Now the galaxy would learn what happened when you underestimated the species that had dared to say no. 1 year had passed since Admiral Wright's fleet arrived at Nexus Prime. The galaxy was a very different place now. Jake Morrison stood in the new council chambers on Haven Station, a space station built together by humans and aliens as a symbol of cooperation. The old meeting hall on Nexus Prime was empty now. The new chambers were smaller, brighter, and designed so that no one species could look down on the others. Every representative sat at the same level. The quarterly peace report shows remarkable progress, Jake announced to the assembled beings. He was no longer just Earth's ambassador. He was now the elected speaker for the reformed Galactic Council. Conflicts between member species have decreased by 89% since we started the new protocols, he continued. Trade has increased by 300%. 17 new species have joined the Council in the past 6 months. The chamber was much quieter than the old Council meetings. There was no shouting, no threats, no demands for submission. Species that had been enemies for centuries were now working together. Zexthal, now one of 5 rotating speakers instead of the supreme leader, pulsed a gentle blue light. The human approach to solving problems has worked better than our old methods. The crystal being had changed greatly in the past year. Where once it had been arrogant and demanding, now it was humble and thoughtful. Losing to humans had taught the entire council the value of listening to others. My people have learned much from our educational exchange with humanity, said Kethter. The former admiral was now his species' chief diplomat. We formally request help in making peace with the species we conquered in the past. Jake nodded. With approval. Captain Jennifer Walsh of our diplomatic corps will assist with those negotiations. But I should warn you, making up for past wrongs takes time and patience. We understand, Kethter replied. We have much to make up for. Doctor. Nixara raised a purple tentacle from her seat. She was now the Council's chief advisor on interspecies relations. Ambassador Morrison, many species are curious about humanity's rapid technological advancement. Would Earth consider sharing some research methods? Already approved, Jake replied. Professor Nancy Kim will establish exchange programs with any interested species. But I should warn you, human research methods tend to be rather intense. A ripple of amused sounds went through the chamber. The galaxy had learned that when humans said something would be intense, they meant it. Human researchers worked 18-hour days, tested thousands of theories, and never accepted that something was impossible. What about the prison worlds? Asked Representative Felinox, a slug-like being whose species had been freed by human forces 6 months ago. Are all the liberation operations complete? The last prison world was liberated yesterday, Jake reported. 43 species have been freed and offered full council membership. 38 have accepted. The old council had kept dozens of worlds where they imprisoned entire species that refused to surrender. These were species that had been conquered but never broken, kept locked away so they could not inspire others to rebel. Now they were free, and many of them had become humanity's strongest allies. And the enforcement fleets? Asked Zexthal. The Human Protection Force now patrols 67 systems, Jake replied. We've prevented 12 conflicts from turning into wars just by being present. It's amazing how peaceful species become when they know someone stronger is watching. The old council had used force to make species obey. The new system used force to protect species from each other. It was a small difference in words, but a huge difference in practice. Admiral Susan Clark, now commander of all human military forces, appeared on the communication screen from her flagship. Report from the Outer Rim, she said. The Zephyr Empire attempted to raid the Centauri colonies yesterday. My ships intercepted them before they could attack. Casualties? Jake asked. None on our side. The Zephyr fleet surrendered immediately when they realized they were facing human ships. They're requesting to join the council, Jake sighed. That's the 5th aggressive empire to surrender this month. We're running out of room in the integration programs. Good problems to have, Susan replied with a smile. Better to have too many friends than too many enemies. Vexmore, the bear-like alien, stood up slowly. A year ago, he had been one of humanity's harshest critics. Now he was one of their strongest supporters. Ambassador Morrison, he said in his deep voice. My people have a confession to make. The chamber went quiet. The Ursine Collective was known for their pride. Confessions did not come easily to them. We have studied human history extensively, Vexmore continued. We understand now why you walked away from our peace talks. Oh, Jake asked. Throughout your history, humans have fought against those who tried to rule them unfairly. You fought kings, emperors, dictators, and tyrants. When we offered you terms of slavery, you reacted. Exactly as you always have. You fought back, added Veltar. The insect being's tone was respectful now, not dismissive. More than that, Dr. Nixara said. They showed us that there was a better way. A way where species work together instead of one ruling over others. Jake looked around the chamber at all the beings who had once considered humans primitive and worthless. Now they looked at him with respect and genuine friendship. The old council made one fundamental mistake, he said. You believed that age meant wisdom and power meant right. You forgot that the best ideas can come from anyone, anywhere. And you proved it, Zexthal added. A young species taught the oldest civilizations in the galaxy how to live in peace. We didn't teach you, Jake corrected. We just showed you what was possible when you treat people with respect instead of contempt. President Helen Carter appeared on another screen from Earth. Jake, I have good news. The Senate has approved funding for 50 new exploration ships. We're ready to contact species beyond the known galaxy. Peacefully, I hope, Jake said with a smile. Of course, Carter replied. Though we'll bring Admiral Clark's fleet along. Just in case we meet another council that thinks young species need guidance. The chamber filled with laughter. Even the most serious aliens found that funny as the session ended. Jake thought about how much had changed. A year ago, humanity had walked away from peace talks in anger and defiance. Today, they were leading the galaxy toward a future where no species would ever be forced to make that choice again. The council had wanted to make humans submit. Instead, they had created the galaxy's new leaders. And those leaders had chosen cooperation over conquest, protection over domination, and respect over fear. It was, Jake thought, a much better galaxy than the one they had started with. The age of human leadership had begun with a simple word, no. Now it continued with an even simpler word, yes. Yes to friendship, yes to cooperation, and yes to a future where every species could choose its own path. The galaxy was finally free.